Check that out. Beautiful, light amber, non-alcoholic American ale. Keep watching if you want to know how to brew your very own at home. Alright, so as you can see, I've measured out quite a diverse range of malts, and that's because we want to try and pack as much malt complexity into this tiny grain bill as possible. So I'm beginning with 500 grams of Barrett, Burst and Border malt, which I'm hoping will give me a neutral base to work with. On top of that, we're throwing in 250 grams of Dexter malt to try and add a bit of malt sweetness and lift the body of the finished beer. Then we're going to add some biscuit oats. Now these are really cool and they're going to add a lot of malt depth and complexity, some nuttiness. Then I'm going to add some Gladfield Dark Crystal, 250 grams, to go and hit on those dark caramel fruit cake type notes. Then we're going to pull back for another 250 grams of medium crystal, which is going to give a bit more of a lighter caramel character to the finished beer. Then we're going to hit this with 250 grams of Shepherd's Delight, which is a bit like Special B. It's a darker, not quite a roasted malt, but it's heading towards that direction. And that's where you get those kind of nutty, toffee, fruit cake, complex aromas and flavors. To that, we're also adding 250 grams of toffee malt, again to try and factor in some malt sweetness, because to me, that's the most challenging thing in these non-alcoholic beers. And finally, I'm going to add 250 grams of Gladfield Black Forest Rye. I really love what this malt brings to the table. It does give you that traditional tobacco type rye husky character that rye grains give, but also because of the way this malt has been treated, it gives more almost like a Black Forest cherry cola type complexity to the finished beer. As long as you make sure you don't overdo it, this malt can often add something quite special, either to a porter, a stout, or a red ale like we're doing today. I'm mashing in today at 80 degrees Celsius, which is my go-to for these non-alcoholic beers. That temperature maximizes the amount of dextrins left in our wort to give us a good mouthfeel, while minimizing the simple sugars that yeast turn into alcohol. We're going to mash at 80 degrees for 30 minutes, then we'll bring our wort to a boil. And we're going to do a 30-minute boil. I'm going to lead my first bittering charge of 10 grams of Australian Cascade, which comes in at about 9% alpha acids, which will give me a little bit of something in terms of bitterness, but not too much. Then I'm going to follow up with 50 grams of Cascade for a 10-minute hop stand addition at 80 degrees Celsius, and 50 grams of Euconote cryo hops, also to that hop stand. What I'm hoping is that hop stand, being quite low in temperature, will retain a lot of those thiols while releasing some of the bound thiols, especially from the Cascade. I'm hoping the end result will be that I get those beautiful grapefruit Cascade notes, and from the Euconote some more of that stone fruit character. After chilling the wort, I then transferred it to my fermenter and added K97 German ale yeast. This is quite a good yeast. It gives you some esters and it finishes very dry, and I think it'll work well for this style. I'm not too sure on its biotransformation, but as I've said in previous videos, with these lower alcohol brews, you don't really get much of that anyway. Now, I was thinking of dry hopping this brew with 50 grams of Riwaka, especially because I wanted to get those subtle stone fruit flavors and pack more of that in. But when I tasted the wort after it had fermented, I decided not to, because I was already pretty happy with the hop character, even though I'd like more pitfalls, more stone fruit, I didn't want to overload it with any astringency or any more pine. So I decided to stick with what we had. I kegged the beer, carbonated it, and we're back. And I've got a little bit of confession to make. I made a mistake. This is not the Amber Ale Red IPA I made in this video. I actually got a bit mixed up. This one is the second runnings of the Baltic Porter I made. If you want to see that, I'll put a card at the end of the video so that you can see how that beer's made. And it's worth watching. It's come out really nicely. It's got this beautiful nutty, toasty complexity, and I'd recommend it. So check that video out after you've watched this one. Here is the Red IPA. It's quite dark, it's turned out. It's even bordering on a brown IPA. In fact, probably is a brown IPA. Maybe I should call it as such, because that's what it's turned out. Okay, let's dive in and we'll have a look and see what's going on here. Let's start with the aroma. There's a lot of pine in there and citrus, maybe like tangerine. And there's some malt character, some toast. I definitely get the rye, the Black Forest rye, with that husky black cherry character. That's what I say, with this malt, a little bit goes a long way. All right, let's dive in and try the flavour. Oh, by the way, before I do, the alcohol on this turned out a smidge under 0.5%. So it is technically a non-alcoholic beer. All right, let's have a look. Okay, so it's got a nice body for a non-alcoholic beer. There's just enough bitterness to uphold it. The hop character is there. We've definitely got pine is the strong dominant character, and then the citrus tangerine notes coming in after that. Now the malt also plays nicely, especially that Black Forest rye. Those tobacco husky-like characters and the black cherry really marry in well with the hops in this beer. Then after that, there's some subtle notes of dark caramel, toffee in there as well. But that's about it. It finishes fairly dry, and I'm kind of happy with it. For a non-alcoholic beer, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I would have liked to get more fruity tropical flavors and aromas into it, but I was also wary of putting too much into that dry hop. Well, I didn't dry hop it at all, but I was wary if I did that I would push it a bit too far. I'd get a bit more hop astringency, I'd get a bit more cloudy murkiness in the color of the beer, and so for that reason I didn't dry hop it, and I'm happy with the result. Again, I don't think I would want to push it any further, because it's already got enough astringency to hold it up and let it stand on its own 2 feet. I think if I were going to try something like that, I'd try and add some aftermarket extracts, those hop extracts, like the abstracts that are going around, so that if I got the grapefruit notes or something like that, add that. To boost this a little bit, that would probably work out quite nice. And I think it's an experiment we might do in the future. Now, if you like homebrewing non-alcoholic beers at home, then check out this video. I was absolutely stoked with the lager that came out of this one, and so check it out.